Howdy! Welcome to the Rhinestone Roper Ranch. Today we're going to be answering two questions about preparing your rope. How do I stretch my rope? And why do I stretch my rope? And of course we're talking about cotton ropes. But to start with, why don't you push subscribe and ring that bell? Then we'll get started. Let's talk about why I would stretch my rope. So I've ordered a rope. I got my cotton spot cord rope. Now your rope might have come off the outside of the spool. So every coil might be this big and nice and smooth. But you might have gotten a rope that came from the inside of the spool. So this rope remembers. It remembers its mother's womb. It remembers where it came from. It remembers that this is the size of coils it's supposed to have. So when you get your rope out and you get started, even if you've got the kinks out of it, got the twists out, it still remembers those little coils it was in. So I would stretch my rope and paint it to erase the memory of those coils. As you know, this cotton spot cord is woven, it's not twisted. That's why it works so well. It's woven. Now when you get this rope, in effect it's already been painted. It was braided with a machine, and then they put a coating on it. And this one, the coating is, I've used it a bit, the coating's kind of wore off. But you can feel it, it's kind of shiny and slick. I think they call it sizing. They put that sizing on there, it dries, tightens up those weaves, and gives this rope a coating. It makes it a little bit stiff, and it protects the fibers of the rope from abrasion and protects it from dirt. So in effect, your rope has already been painted, but after a while that sizing wears off, and your rope, the weave, might get a little loose, and your whole rope gets a little loose and really floppy. So if you want to revive your rope that you've used a bit, then you stretch it and paint it. And you stretch it mainly to tighten up that weave. You stretch it, it tightens the weave, and it stretches out straight. So when you paint it, that paint dries, it dries tight, and it dries stretched, and it dries straight. When you put a coil in it, you get a nice smooth coil, and when you spin a loop out, it's a nice perfect circle. There's no waves in it from all these small coils that are left, the memory of. So we paint it to protect the fibers and to give it more stiffness or body. It will still twist on itself. That doesn't interfere with that. And we stretch it to get rid of those coils to start with. The memory of the coils. We want to get rid of that, make it nice and straight. Then we paint it, and then after it dries, this rope remembers what it's like to be straight and smooth. That's why you stretch a rope, and it's part of the process of painting it. You stretch a rope because you're going to paint it. I have a video out there on how to paint your rope, but I want to answer the question, how to stretch your rope. You know, you don't have to put any huge muscle into stretching it. You don't use your car to stretch it out, or you don't rope something with it and drag it behind your horse to stretch it. I'll show you what I do. This is my daughter's rope. I made this for her in a hot pink. This rope has only ever been painted with fluorescent paint, and that fluorescent paint works great for blacklight shows, but it doesn't protect the rope as well as regular acrylic paint. You can see that this fluorescent paint has allowed this rope to develop some fuzzies and to get worn a little bit. This is an old clothesline setup. I've got some twine tied there. I tied this in a double half hitch or a clove hitch around my end knot. We got the same setup down here. I'm going to bring that twine down here, and I'm going to tie this right here in front of the Honda. I don't want to tie it anywhere on the Honda to force that Honda down to make a tiny loop. I don't want to put stress on the rope like that. I'll tie my double half hitch right there. I got my double half hitch tied. I took that twine over the top of my clothesline setup, ran it through, looped right there. I'm just going to winch that fairly tight. Now it doesn't have to be super tight, but if I'm going to stretch a rope, I might as well stretch it a little bit. Make sure those fibers are tight. Just pull with one hand. That looks good. Now I'm doing this with the clothesline setup, but I have done this a lot on a chain link fence. Just run it down the side of a chain link fence and tie it with twine. And I've done that on the fairgrounds a lot. I'll tie this off and go ahead and paint this rope. I think I'm going to paint it kind of a salmon color, and we'll see how it comes out. Well, there's my finished rope. It's kind of a pale pink now rather than salmon, but it's better than hot pink for me. I overtook this rope because my daughter's not using it, and it's just the right length for some tricks I want to do. So there we go. But that's how to stretch a rope, and stretching your rope is always in connection with painting it. If you stretch it out, it's not going to do much good unless you do something with it to hold that shape, and the shape you want is a straight, tight rope. Take a look at those other videos there, and we'll see you next time.